Good evening. I'm Mark Clements, the Artistic Director of Milwaukee Repertory Theatre.
And I'm Rajendra Ramoon Maharaj, the Associate Artistic Producer at Milwaukee Repertory Theatre.
It is our pleasure to welcome you to We Rise Milwaukee Repertory Theatre's 2021 celebration of Black History Month. Tonight is the fourth and last of 4 events honoring the legacies, hard work, and dreams of African Americans in the theater industry. We've celebrated renowned playwrights, artists working behind the scenes, and arts leaders in our own community. These African American artists, past, present, and future, have significantly helped make theater what it is today.
Tonight's program, The Ground on Which I Stand, honors the father of African American theater, August Wilson. We will hear from a variety of artists who have worked with and on August's incredible canon of plays, as well as participants in the August Wilson Monologue competition. We will close the evening with the world premiere of Rise, an African-American word quilt that I conceived and wrote inspired by August Wilson's iconic speech, The Ground on Which I Stand. This dynamic piece will be performed by African-American artists from all around the country who stand with Milwaukee Repertory Theatre as we celebrate Black History Month.
This past month, we have strived to embody our mission to ignite positive change, inspire meaningful dialogue, and present world-class theater by highlighting the enormous contributions of African-American arts makers. While February may officially be Black History Month, we will continue to celebrate and make space for the voices and art of African-American theater artists, both on and off our stages.
Thank you all for being part of We Rise, Milwaukee Repertory Theater's celebration of Black History Month. And a special thank you to our media sponsor, 88.9 Radio Milwaukee.
Thank you, and enjoy The Ground on Which I Stand.
Good evening, all, and welcome to Milwaukee Rep's final celebration of this year's Black History Month. My name is Njieme Kamara, and I am the Associate Director of Engagement here at Milwaukee Rep.
Hello, sister. You look so beautiful tonight.
Thank you, brother.
And I am Rajendra Ramoon Maharaj. Tonight, we honor the legacy of August Wilson, playwright, activist, Pulitzer Prize, Drama Desk, Tony Award winner, and a legend in the American theater.
Our presentation tonight is called The Ground on Which I Stand. It's an allusion to August Wilson's seminal speech at the Theater Communications Group Conference in 1996.
Truly a soul-stirring moment in American theater history. And many of the things August spoke about are happening right now in our world with Black and Brown artists. Tonight, we will be hearing from legendary actress and vocalist Ebony Joanne, who collaborated with August Wilson on several of his plays in the cycle throughout her career. We will talk to 4 women in different phases of their careers and hear their journey around August's work and being one of the women in August Wilson's canon.
And we will end the night with our Black History Month series, Rise, an African-American word quilt. It's a piece written by my co-host, Rajendra Ramoon Maharaj, and featuring many of the artists and leaders you've seen over the last 4 weeks of our programming.
Including you, Queen, and you are so beautiful in it. Let's first hear a little bit about the August Wilson Monologue competition.
Yes. So the National August Wilson Monologue Competition, it's a celebration of the words of the playwright August Wilson. It's inspiring high school students to find and express themselves through theater. It started in 2007 by Kenny Leon and Todd Kreidler at True Colors Theater in Atlanta. And the competition has grown to include 19 cities across the US. Finalists are then given the opportunity to perform their monologues at the August Wilson Theater, a Broadway stage in New York City.
In our city, Milwaukee, reps professional teaching artists work with high school students to select monologues and prepare for the competition and have a chance to win cash prizes. This competition is open to high school students of all backgrounds and ethnicities.
Let's take a closer look, shall we?
August Wilson's life and his work and legacy has impacted me personally as a theater artist of color, a Black theater artist, in so many ways.
Really where August Wilson touches my life is the fact that I can relate to some of the conversations that I was too young to hear but still was hearing it at the barbershop, reflected back in August Wilson's work.
I think that gives me a stronger sense of self because I am finally getting, my history and where my people and where I lie in history, where I really lie in history.
He has given voice to the speech and the issues that affect the everyday person.
I see it bringing people together, starting those conversations that usually we wouldn't have.
I think his works have given me a greater sense of community, especially within the competition itself.
The competition is important to Milwaukee because it gives young people an opportunity to learn the work of a master.
The benefits and the value and the joy, the potential that it has to bring to the city of Milwaukee.
People who might not have the chance to do something like this have the chance to do it.
We are able to create that platform and say, hey, this content you can relate to, and you can absolutely say, you may end up going through this in life, or you may have already been through it.
And to meet other young people across the city, and hopefully even across the nation, because they are talented. They have the skills and the professional actors who are mentoring them.
Hey, look at this beautiful piece of art that you can make. And there's no greater gift than that.
Wonderful. Next up, we have a real treat.
Yes, we do, sister. Earlier this month, I had the honor of speaking with an icon, singer, actress, activist, Ebony Joanne. Miss Joanne gave me insight in her long relationship, both with August Wilson and my hero, Lloyd Richards, and the friendship, the impact that August has had on the community. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure and honor to present a true queen of the American theater, the incomparable Ebony Joanne.
Ebony Joanne is a Renaissance woman. With a dynamic career spanning over 40 years, Miss Joanne is a recording artist and a multi-award-winning actor of the screen and stage. Of her many theatrical productions, Miss Joanne has performed in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Gem of the Ocean, Joe Turner's Come and Gone, The Sunshine Boys, Mulebone, The Wiz, Crowns, and Drowning Crow. She is also well known for her work on television and film.
Oh, you're so good. Your mind just slides wherever you want it to, don't it? Like it's slick with oil. So's no one can grab it and shake it and say you're so full of it's not even funny. You think you're so slippery. Well, child, I got me some rubber gloves, and they take to like a swarm of hungry flies.
Charlotte, this is my problem.
Oh, you think what you do only exists in here? Baby. Your actions have consequences. I know. I spend my whole life paying for someone else's. Sorry, but you're gonna have to wait. That's my partner. I hear you, son. That's my partner. You don't hear me. All you can do is wait.
Go ahead. Fight it, man. Get off of that bench, start passing the ball, and don't make me have to come out here again.
That's right. So we got this all straightened out now, right, Mrs. Pat?
I haven't even started on you, honey.
Don't call me honey.
My boy is the best damn player you got on that team of yours.
I know,
He
but
don't belong on the sidelines watching.
But
I'm the one who got him from the pickup games to the NBA, and I surely didn't put in that time to have you come along, set him down, and put a towel on his head.
But he doesn't.
Where's my limo?
Bye, Mama.
So, do you have any girlfriends at school, Pootie?
Mama, there's a scientifically and a classically. She's a cold Tony.
Don't you talk dirty to your mama, boy.
Ooh, a porch swing. I know what I'm doing this weekend. Tina can take you on the bus. The number 71 will take you up there.
I don't want to go all the way across town. I got plans tonight.
How you gonna be so mean to your cousin?
It's gonna take 2 hours to get there, Big Mama.
Oh, come on, Tina. Don't be a flake. I'll get lost.
Why are you gonna leave her stranded like that? Of course you're gonna take her.
Yes, Big Mom. Thank you.
Not to mention her music career.
Wishing for your return. My mind does crazy things.
Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Ebony Joanne.
Hello, Ebony.
Hello. How are you?
I am well, my queen, my friend, my sister. I am so happy, humbled, and honored that you are with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
I was so happy to hear from you. I haven't stopped talking about you.
Well, you are a big part of my journey in the American theater. I've been so inspired by your work, your citizenship, and your total commitment to the African American experience. And I wanted to start with, I know we're going to be talking about August Wilson, but I just want to start a little bit about your journey. How did theater come into your life, and when did it enter into your life?
I was touring the country as a Marvelette. And I ran into an actress friend of mine on 57th Street in Manhattan. And she said, I'm on my way to an audition. You should come. And I said, where are you going? She says, I'm going out to the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn. I said, oh, okay, why not? I'm not doing anything. She said, you just need some music because we're going to be auditioning for a musical called Young, Gifted, and Black.
Wow.
But it was renamed Young, Gifted, and Broke.
Okay.
By Weldon Irvine, who co-wrote Young, Gifted, and Black.
Right.
I went out there and I got the job. She did not. I spent 4 years out at the Billie Holiday Theater doing community theater.
Yeah.
Off Broadway in Brooklyn. I always wanted to do theater. That did not happen, however, until the Billie Holiday.
Who were the early hammers and chisels that encouraged you to be an artist? You know, often in the African American community, it's sometimes a hard road when you're trying to become an artist.
My mom wanted me to be if I couldn't be a concert pianist, I think that was a secret dream of hers.
Okay.
Then, of course, I had to be a teacher. It was interesting. I was always moving on to something else to escape where I was coming from.
I feel you're in the line of continuing the work of the beautiful and talented Bea Richards, and that line of beautiful Black women who, you know, forged the door for today's Viola Davises. And it's so exciting to be able to chat with you, and you carry yourself just naturally with such grace and elegance. Was that something that just was always in your being? I know it's hard when someone asks you that because you are who you are, but it's so notable just how elegant and lovely you carry yourself and the regalness you have. I always think of Bea Richards and the grace and elegance she had. Where did that come from?
Early on, I got sick and tired of people telling me you don't sound Black. Where are you from?
I got that a lot too in life.
Oh my God.
How did you handle that?
Well, not well. When I was born in the projects of Stamford, Connecticut. They were not like they are now. That's where it started out. And my mom, education was it. That was it. That was it. That was it. That was it.
Yes.
And so she put me into another school down the hill from the projects. The first day I walked in, the teacher didn't even look up. And she said, "You're in the wrong room."
Wow.
I said, "Pardon?" She says, "You're in the wrong room. You're going to have to go to the office." She never looked up. "You're going to have to go to the office and find out where you belong. But this is for the elevated students and you are in the wrong room." So that's how I started in school, and it continues to this day. And she was so angered that I was Black. And in her classroom, she used to make me pick up my desk and take it to the back of the room and sit at the back of the room. School was a fighting ground for me.
That fighting spirit is something that I so admire about you and what you fought in the theater for, because I remember us sharing, stories of colorism that you've encountered in the industry. Did that little kid and those experiences with that teacher help prepare you for the fight of that in the American theater?
Absolutely. I mean, because that was all I knew. In thinking about this, because I also did the Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. They did what they called it. They called it a jazz something or other. And they had me, I was interviewed with Felicia Rashad.
Yes.
And Ruben Santiago Hudson. I was going to do that one. I didn't care. The sun didn't shine,
Right.
Because by the time that I met them, I was entrenched in the August Wilson family.
My God, your work around Augustus canon and the characters that you've breathed life into, I will never forget your Ma Rainey. It's like burnt into the DNA of my heart as a storyteller, bearing witness to that. So what was your first impression of August Wilson's storytelling, and how did August come into your life? How did that all happen?
Okay, through the O'Neill, the Playwrights Conference. Somewhere along the line, I heard that they were going to have auditions for the ensemble. They gathered together an ensemble of actors, which meant that there was script analyzation, critique. Into these scripts. And I was going to meet this fairly new playwright, August Wilson and Lloyd Richards.
My hero. My
hero too.
No claimer here. He is my hero. I love
hands down. Okay. And I was a nervous wreck, but I went to this audition. I was so excited because they said, well, they're going to do this, because I was pretty much known at that point, which is still the very beginning of my life, seems like, musical theater. Well, they're going to do Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And so they're looking for understudies for the woman that's going to play Ma Rainey. And I said, hey, I was so excited. And I went into the audition, and August was there. puffing on a cigarette. And Lloyd was there. So I was meeting them for the first time. And they said, well, I need you to read this. What I was coming in to do was Joe Turner's Come and Gone.
Yes.
Because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was already scheduled for, they did the extensive regional theater tours. That's how he made it, with this unique plan of approaching the regional theaters. They were already scheduled to do Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at Yale. And they just needed somebody to come in and cover the roles of Ma Rainey and Dusty May. I was the age, I was at that perfect age where I could do both.
Wow.
Yeah. So I came in and they liked my reading, because they were like Mutt and Jeff. I mean, they were too funny together. I swear to God. And I liked them immediately. And I'm a colored woman. Because early on, I determined that, because I was so sick and tired of people, well, where are you from? You sound white. So I decided early on that I'm gonna talk like my parents. And they were just good old country people. And I adopted that. So that they liked what I did in that respect. And then they were like, oh, do you sing? Yeah.
do I sing? Hello.
And they said, well, do you sing the blues? Yeah. Lying, just lying. And once I sang, they were like children. Okay, all right. It'll be a year from now, but don't worry about it. We're not going to forget you. We're not going to forget you. I left out of there, and I was very hopeful and very happy, because my whole theater experience was the Billie Holiday Theater. I always felt like an outsider, because of course I didn't have the credentials or the background or the college education. I didn't have any of that stuff. Once I got into that circle and I'm at the table with all of these shown up actors, and then I found out where I fit in, because I am a true Black woman.
And in that, the pride of being a Black woman.
Exactly.
The ocean of possibilities.
Oh my God. Well, I didn't even understand that part at that point, but I knew that my Blackness had to pay off for me somewhere. So the next day I came in and I went over to August and I told him, well, this is what's happening here and blah, 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 blah. And his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Like a Christmas tree. And from that point on, that became, okay, anything I need to know about the Black thing, I'm going straight to Ebony.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing, we got into a little discussion with another piece that we were doing, and it had something to do with the blues. And I said, well, I don't understand what this means right here. He said, well, then you need to go and research it. I said, well, what was your intent? He said, I don't know. I just like the blues. He said, I like the blues. He said, anything that you need me to know, just come and tell me. And I said, well, all right. And that was the beginning of our relationship. And I was just so thrilled that I was just picking in such high cotton. And that August Wilson let me into his life. Now, Lloyd used to just sit back and smile. He would just have that beautiful smile on his face and he'd lean back.
I love it. I love it so much. Can I ask you, out of all of the characters you've played in August's plays, what is the attribute that August writes in his female characters that make them so unique?
First of all, you just have to remember that no one wrote anything about Black women anywhere. No one. No one. I remember when the town hall meeting in which the white establishment turned their back on August because they pretty much, the attitude was, look, we're responsible for your success. How are you gonna turn around and tell us that there's not enough diversification? He ran into some real problems up and through there that I was very familiar with because they were reminiscent of what I had already gone through on another level.
Sure.
Yeah. His female characters, they talked about abortion. Name me one play at that period of time where they're talking about, I'm not going to have this baby. That was the first time that you saw them dealing with Black hair on stage. In Joe Turner's Come and Gone, they had, different type of women, float through the rooming house. But I noticed, because of the years that I was involved in all of this, that I saw the same role portrayed by different actresses. And it was really dependent upon the director's perspective.
I always look at your work, and I look at particularly the work you've done with August Wilson, and it's so fascinating to me because what always strikes me is the amount of strength and love he had for women. People in the theater say he writes for men, he didn't really write for women, he's not a feminist, but I think he wrote from that perspective, and there was such love for women, his sisters, his mother, women like you.
He didn't exclude women. And yes, of course, I've heard all of those arguments about he didn't write for women, but that's not true. That's not true. But they had to say something, because they didn't understand him anyway. I just adored him because he would actually come to me and ask me questions. And I go, wow, he's asking me, He respected you. He respected you. I loved him. I loved him to pieces. Let me tell you something. I know damn well I never expected to see a stamp with August Wilson's visage on it. I mean, that's for the whole world.
Yeah.
I remember the very first days of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, because that was the first one on Broadway. And when that piece went up, half of the audience would get up and walk out of the theater. Oh, yeah. See, I remember that. They did not know if that piece was going to be successful or not. Because, I mean, Black audiences, especially Black audiences.
Sure.
I mean, because white audiences, they'll sit and they'll look around to see, do I laugh now? Oh, can I laugh now? Am I offended? But the Black audiences, no, they're not that timid. And that's what was happening when the piece first opened up at the Court Theater.
Wow, amazing. Tell me about a moment you've had with Lloyd, a private moment that stands out with you.
I have two moments with him. He would call me in whether he had something for me to do, because they always tried to include me in most everything that they did. He used to always just fling his hands, because you think you Ma Rainey. I said, I am. I mean, it was just, we were able to just fool around like that and talk like that. And I'll never forget that was wonderful. And then they called me in when they did Fences. And they ran the scene. They wanted me to, you don't have a job. I said, okay, what do you want? I said, just do this scene here, where the husband brings the baby, the mother. Yeah. So we're just curious, Ebony. We just want to know how you would handle this. And so they sat there and I did the scene and they just broke out laughing afterwards. And they said, and that's the reason why you don't have a job, because if he came home to you, you'd beat him up. God damn right. So I will never forget that. I will never forget that as long as I live.
I love hearing that story because I have two stories to share with you. My Lloyd Richards story, I was interning at EST,
yes,
and he was in a room just sitting in the theater, and I came in and I recognized him, and I didn't know what to say.
Right.
And he could see it on my face.
Right.
And I just sat literally at his feet
yes,
and just like said, just talk. And I just remember him being so gracious and proud of his Caribbean roots, proud of America, and proud of like everything he accomplished. And to see a young man who had studied him, you know, 'cause I was like, you are the first, you are the Zion. You opened every door possible that I hope to walk through someday.
yes.
And he was just so kind and shook my hand and looked me in the eyes and says, I believe in you. And I've carried that with me throughout every experience I've had.
Everything.
So generous. He was so generous. And then because of Woody King Jr., our other dear friend and my mentor, when I got to meet August at Joe Turner at New Federal Theater, August was there, and Woody's like, go walk with him to the bodega to get cigarettes. And
right.
August Wilson was the one that planted the seed in me. He's like, you should write. You're interesting. You got a funny name. You're interesting. Interesting people should write plays. And those little seeds.
I didn't know you had a walk to the store moment with him. I did too.
Tell me about yours. Tell me about yours.
Seattle. In Seattle. They had a picnic. And so he was, you know, he gets real antsy when he runs out of cigarettes. And so he said, come walk with me to the store. You would have thought that he asked me to go to the Taj Mahal.
Oh my God.
I mean, we just walked along and we just chatted about nothing. I was the happiest Black woman in the whole world.
Amazing. It's funny because you think of the reach from one generation to the next, that they were able to still plant these seeds. Because you've played Ma Rainey, who is just one of the most layered, complex women written ever in theater, in Black theater. Playing her, what did you think Ma Rainey wanted?
Ma Rainey was an activist, because I used to, you know, the scene where I have the scene with Cutler.
Yeah.
Man, I plant myself, I do my little 3/4. And I looked directly into the audience because I knew where I was. A lot of people didn't know where they were. I knew where I was. Those people, especially the women, hated me as Ma Rainey. One of them, we had a talk back. And one of them said that Ma Rainey, was a racist.
What?
I didn't debate her. She was infuriated. You see how she treated her band? She's the racist. No. What you don't like, Missy, is the fact that I told your white behind off, and I looked into the audience. I 3/4 Cutler was right there. I talked to Cutler and I talked to this audience. Man, you could feel their hate. It was like, how dare she?
How dare she?
How dare she? It was deep. It was deep. I loved every minute of it. Because Ma Rainey gave me an opportunity to say all the things that I ever wanted to say to a person of authority or whatever. At no point during that play did she ever lose her authority.
She owned her power, and she
every step of the way.
I think that legacy continues with the work that you've continued to do in the American theater of like, you're going to see me. I want to ask you, because I've always wanted to ask you this, and there's been so many essays and so much said about this.
I don't read that mess.
The two camps that happened to form when Lloyd and August stopped working together. I feel like that was one of the great sad stories of the American theater.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Because they were both so important to each other, both iconic.
Yes.
Was it about ego? Was it just time?
It was about ego. I've analyzed it, because I didn't work with him during that period of time. I did not work with them during that period of time. I remember Lloyd got sick. And then all of a sudden there was this scramble for new directors. And Lord Jesus, that broke my heart.
Right.
It broke my heart. And I was really happy that during Jim of the Ocean, that they kind of, got back together again.
When you heard of Lloyd's passing and you heard of August's passing, where were you and how did you cope?
When August passed, he told me he was passing, but I was too stupid to realize what he was saying.
And he was very private, so that you were
very private.
I mean, the fact that he shared that with you shows how close and he respected.
Well, what he did is he told me his obituary. We were sitting in the theater during a rehearsal. And he told me, when I read the death notice, it was almost verbatim.
Even to the end, controlling the narrative.
Yes, indeedy. When I heard of August's passing, I was on my way to Pittsburgh. I was there for the funeral. And I got to hug all the exes and the children, because I have relationship with the kids and everything.
Yeah. And when Lloyd passed, where were you?
When Lloyd passed, I was devastated. I was absolutely, positively devastated. I'll never get well. I'll never get well. Never. Because they brought me into the family. I was heartbroken when the relationship between August and Lloyd fell apart. I'm happy to say I wasn't there. I was not there. So I was receiving secondhand news, and I was seeing the result of the progression of directors and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that. But that was not a growth and development period of time for August.
There was definitely magic, and anyone in Black theater who knows the history knows what was gained and lost in the end of that relationship, and has never been recaptured.
Never. Never.
Ebony, as we leave this interview, what, for those who don't know you as a singer, would you mind just blessing us with a little bit of the blues or something that's on your spirit? I know there's always a song in your heart when you wake up. Could you?
It's a long old road, and I'm gonna make it to the end. Yes, I am. It's a long old road, and I'm gonna make it to the end. I am. Lord, and when I get there, I'm gonna shake hands with my long lost friend.
Oh my gosh. And that is why you are an icon, legend, a redwood, and a bridge, my sister, my queen. I love you.
Oh, I love you.
And I am so proud to speak your name, Ebony
Thank
Joanne.
you for today. Thank you for today. You brought some sunshine into my day.
Wow. There are no words.
What a treat indeed.
Wow. You know, it's so important to be able to sit with our elders and our ancestors and speak the stories, tell the truth. And I will always cherish that moment for the rest of my life. And
great job to you.
Thank you. You know, fun fact, Ebony Joanne was the first person to give me my first kind of major award in New York. She presented me with my first Adelco Award, which honors excellence in Black theater off Broadway. And we've been friends ever since. I adore her so much. Because, you know, when you meet people and you're like, that's the truth, that's the real deal. That's what Ebony Joanne is. So next up, we're going to hear more from the women who have brought August Wilson's female characters to life on stage.
Welcome all.
And there's a little bit of a video that we have coming up.
I'm always conscious, I think, in writing women characters of my mother, and I'm always conscious of being respectful to them in my writing as I would of my mother. So I think that she has a large influence on my women characters, and I'm a person who personally believes that women do not need to define themselves in relation to men.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome all. It is our pleasure to introduce Greta Oglesby, Malkia Stampley, Sade Oyodele, and to reintroduce the one and only Ebony Joanne.
Hey, wow. Thank you, Queens, for joining us tonight. This is of the theater gods, the legends ball, as Oprah would say, are with us tonight. Thank you for being with us. Wow. I am just humble and in awe of all of you. And thank you for being with us and blessing us with your time. Tonight we're going to have a nice chat. And I just want us to, you know, as we're speaking, feel free to, if you're not speaking, to turn off your mic. And we're just going to go through this conversation and have a good old time in honor of August Wilson and Lloyd Richards and all of the women who have breathed life into his characters, the girl power.
Yes, so, welcome, women. Welcome.
Sisters, they're doing it. So I want to start with my first question is, and it's open to the group. What was your first impressions of August Wilson as a storyteller in the American theater?
I'll go. My first experience with August Wilson was actually understudying Malkia at Milwaukee Repertory. Before that, I had actually never worked with an all-Black cast. I had only casually heard of August Wilson, I'm ashamed to say. And when I, finally did get in the theater, and I was listening to the words and the characters that he had breathed life into, I was truly stunned. I don't think before then, I don't think I had ever really had a context for Blackness in the theater in that way before. And it was life-changing. I really appreciated the opportunity.
Greta, what about you? Another queen of the theater with us tonight. Greta, we have to unmute you, sweetie.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't I don't have a degree in theater. I have a degree in finance. So I came to theater kind of later in my life. So I had heard of August Wilson. So my very first August Wilson was Jitney at the Goodman. And then the next one was, I think, Two Trains Running. And I was a little mad at August because I thought, why does he write so well for men? And he don't write that well for women, But of course, I didn't know the whole cycle. I hadn't, I had to catch up. So of course, as I left finance and I got involved in theater and I began to do August plays. I saw the brilliance of who he was as a writer, and will forever be grateful to him for writing these amazing, this amazing cycle that will live, throughout eternity. So that was my first impression, but I caught up and I became a lover.
Yeah. And we're grateful that you did catch up, because before my gosh. Malkia, let's hear from you, sister.
Hey, everybody. It's such an honor to be here and amongst all of you queens and Rajendra, the king. I didn't know much about August Wilson. I later on realized in early 2000s that the Rep had grown up in Milwaukee, that the Rep had done a few of his shows, but I didn't grow up going to the Rep, and so it was after college, and I remember the Rep was preparing to do Gem of the Ocean. And so that was when I first really heard about his plays and started reading them. And then when I was in St. Louis doing a show, I saw King Hedley II, and that was my first piece. And I was just floored by his way of capturing all of the people that I know just in my neighborhood, to be able to say, oh my goodness, I know this person. And I think in so many other theater pieces prior to, at least in my experience, your Black male was extremes. They were either, the old or the young, or the scholarly or the uneducated, the thug or the pastor. Like there were these, but there's so much in between. And he was able to put all of them in a play. And so that was my first experience.
And of course, our queen of the hour, Ebony Joanne, the royalty, Black royalty in the house. What we saw in the video your first impressions of August, and a question I want to ask you is, when you met August by reading the size or reading his work, what was the first impression that you had when you read this young genius at the O'Neill? What were your thoughts?
I was so impressed.
Oh, can you unmute?
Did.
You were impressed, you said.
I was impressed. Am I still unmuted?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was so impressed because the first thing I thought about, oh, he writes about colored people.
Mm.
And I was just enthralled with the whole idea that he talked about the migration. I was familiar with it because we all were, because we all came from someplace else.
Mm.
And it was just colored and delicious. Yeah, that was my first and lasting impression of August Wilson.
Wow.
He wrote about the stuff that we talked about every day.
Yes.
And that was the first in the history of the world.
Yes. I have to say, I'm just so tickled pink to see you and Greta, two queens tonight on this screen, and two youngins, Malkia and Sadi, coming up as well. It just makes me feel like so inspired to see this legacy, this moment. And of course, Njeme too is an amazing actor as well. Well, I'm going to pass it over for the next question. Njeme?
Thank you so much. Hello, ladies.
Hello, my darling.
Hello. I want to talk to you about women direction in August Wilson's plays. Do you think having a woman director for August plays makes a difference? Do you think that they evoke something different in the telling of the story?
Well, interestingly enough, I know two of the directors of August's works. One is Michelle Shea, and the other, of course, is Felicia Rashad. Interestingly enough, I didn't get a chance to see either one of the plays. During the cycle down in New York City, I saw snippets of the plays, and I said, well, this is really kind of interesting. Because Ma Rainey, I'll start with that. You don't hire an actress because she's a good singer. You hire an actress because she can act her ass off. And she's not afraid to be a Black woman. And she knows her power every minute of every day. From the moment she walks in the door and she says, tell them who I am. She has complete control. Most actresses are really not able to pull that power forth. So and most female directors, I can't really say, because like I said, I have not seen the work that they've done. I have only heard about it and read the reviews.
Greta, how about you? You look like you have something that you want to add.
You know what, and I'm like you, Ebony. I haven't been directed by a woman in an August Wilson, and I haven't had the opportunity or the privilege to see one of August's works directed by a woman. But I can imagine that, of course, a woman's perspective is going to be different. You know, it just has to be. And I do think that I think for many years, I think until August left us, I think there was some kind of a clause or something that said, I want my way. I know for a fact only black folks could direct his plays. White folks could not direct August plays.
And you're right.
You know, and I think if there may have been a stipulation that, you know, I would like it, you know, if at all possible, that Black men direct my plays. Not really sure about that, but until his passing, I never knew of a woman that directed his plays. But I do think that women do bring a different perspective. We have to. And I look forward to the times that I can sit in a seat and see a play directed, an August Wilson play directed by a woman, or be in one myself. I mean, I still look forward to that. Absolutely.
Malkia, Sade, would you like to also be in the presence of a woman who's directing an August Wilson play?
I think it would certainly be very interesting. I'm going to speak in a wild generalization, but I've noticed that in storytelling, Black women tend to have a more sympathetic view of Black men than even Black men do. So I think that, I think it would be I want to be in one and watch one for sure.
Yeah, I would say I'd like to direct one. Can I say that? How about that?
Yes, absolutely.
So I did I would like to direct one.
Oh, okay.
Miss Ebony. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that a Black woman can, just as everyone said before, there's a nuance with any new perspective to any piece. And so I think it would be beautiful to see a woman tackle the piece. And I know that it has been done, it is being done. But I hope it'll be done more, because I do think that Black female directors also need that opportunity to be able to tackle these iconic pieces.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward to seeing your production.
Well, I want to. Yeah, go ahead, Remy.
Yes. Well, and speaking of more women, I'm going to pass it to you, Rajendra, if you want to talk a little bit about female characters.
Yeah, of course. And I will just say this as a Black male director. August said, I'll never forget it. And August and I think Woody King Jr. both said this to me, that when you've been through enough life experience as a Black person and you're older and you've lived a little longer, then you might be able to direct one of my plays. And I didn't think that was required to gender. I think it's about life experience. And we won't get into the whole Lincoln Center, Bartlett Share, white guy.
No, let's not.
But let's the second question, which is, what are 3 attributes that make the female characters in August Wilson's canon so unique? What are some of the attributes, 3 of them, that when you played in these roles that resonated with you? And we'll start with Malkia this time.
It's a hard one. But I played Risa and that was the only piece that I've been able to perform in so far. And I'd say for Risa, 3 attributes: unapologetic. His characters are unapologetically whatever they are. If they're broken, they're not afraid to show their brokenness. As a Black woman, they're just unapologetic in that way. I think something else is the strength that they have. They are so deeply rooted in their convictions and grounded in who they are. And that needs to be at the forefront of each of those characters, no matter how small the role. And that was one of my challenges with Risa having, through being in the entire play, but not having so much dialogue like Memphis and everybody else. But as long as I tapped into that strength and being unapologetically who I was, then I felt that I was doing that role some justice. And then last, they love hard. They love really deeply and passionately. And sometimes that love is hard on the other person, or it helps crack open something. Or sometimes that love for someone else then isn't turned back on themselves. But love is a key part in who each of his characters are as well.
Wonderful. Let's hear from Greta. What are 3 attributes that come to your mind when you put on the coat of an August Wilson woman?
Gosh, this is so so much. I also have to say strength. You know, every woman and every throughout the cycle there is such a strength. Also, there's passion. They're passionate about whatever it is that they want out of life and what they need out of life. I guess I think Malkia said it as well. Just a groundedness and really who they are. I think that I'm trying to get through the whole cycle. I've played a lot of these women, but there's about 3 women that I still have to play that I'm not too old to play yet. I'm trying to get through the whole canon. But just women in this August Wilson cycle is phenomenal to me. I've studied these women for years, and I've I've just grown to love them and to love every woman in this throughout this cycle. And I'm such a voracious fan of August Wilson's work. And so there you have it.
Queen Ebony, what is 3 attributes that rise when you put on the coat of an August Wilson or the skin of an August Wilson woman? Many of these roles you've originated. What were some of the 3 of the attributes?
You have to know, you have to be fearless. Once the words fall out of your mouth, you have to be fearless, and you have to understand what you just said, because his poetry was written in such a way, your mind does not wander when you're doing an August Wilson play. Because if it does, you're going to reach a point where you're going to say to yourself, didn't I just say that? So you have to be present every single second. And you have to be fearless. You cannot be afraid to be a colored woman.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about 3-4 different women in 3-4 different plays. Right. And the one thing about each one of when you're a seductress, you have to be a seductress with taste and integrity and morality.
Wow.
You didn't read about sluts. When we go back to that famous play you were talking about that went to Broadway.
Yes, ma'am.
I went backstage after the Gypsy Run, and I saw Roger Robinson first. And I said, "You're going to win a Tony." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yes, you are. I want you to behave yourself so that will not be taken from you." So when he won the Tony, he invited me to be his guest.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
So I always like my critique. When LaTanya came from backstage, I said, "Girl, that man got you walking too much. You serving more food than the law allows. But I'm sure you're going to straighten that out." And she did.
Oh my gosh, Ebony, I adore you, and I adore these little nuggets. Where we just hear the history from.
Hey, girl, you saw her walking up and down them doggone stairs. I mean, every time she had a pot in her hand, I said,
yes. And again, I think that a director from a different culture or experience,
he went with the stereotype.
Yeah. So there's that. Let's press on to the next question. And Jebe, what do you got?
Wonderful. Yes. So we're going to bring a little spiritual, metaphysical sense into this virtual room. Even though August is not physically with us.
Oh, yes, he is.
Was there a moment where you experienced or you felt him in the room, either during the rehearsal process or the performance itself?
Ebony, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that he was always in the room. Even if he was writing another play, he was always in the room. He wandered around the room. He was always in the back of the theater, and he wandered around the room. And if you could catch him in his wanderings, you could have a little conversation with him. But I mean, he lived those plays. He lived those plays. I tell you, I adored that man so much because every time he opened his mouth, he had something private to say. And he talked to people, individuals. He was not boisterous in the rehearsal place, not to my experience. And he'd ease over, and Lloyd was as well. Lloyd directed that way. He never was that kind of a director that got up, and sometimes directors shame you in front of the cast just by being out loud. Lloyd, if he wanted you to know something about your characterization or something, he would come over to you and he'd speak real softly to you. And it was tough for me because the very first time I went to Broadway, he told me, he said, here is your script. Here is your table. He said, and they're going to bring you a chair. Your job is to sit here and pay attention to everything that goes on. And that was it.
Wow.
So there I am trying to listen to him whispering to Joe Seneca and Leonard. I said, okay. And then when I got a chance to go on, the first time I went on to do Ma, I had no rehearsal with him. So afterwards, I'm waiting for my notes. And he came up on stage and he said, I just want you to have more fun. Huh? What does that mean?
Wow.
And he repeated it. He said, I just want you to have more fun. And August was even quieter than that.
Wow.
I had never worked in that environment before.
Amazing.
And it was a treasure.
Yeah, it's amazing because I wish, and I sit here and I look at the four of you and I just think, my God, I wish we had 3 hours to have this conversation because you're all so formidable. But I do want to say in our closing, I have one more question because time is not our friend tonight. We're coming closely to the end of our time together. But I want to ask you all one more question, and we'll go one by one with this. How important is it for the next generation of American theater makers and storytellers to understand the history of August Wilson? We know that certain programs don't teach the variety and the veracity of the African American experience in the theater. How important is August Wilson to be taught? And we'll start with Sade with your thoughts on that as young actors are training. How important is it for the history, to know the history of August Wilson?
I mean, as somebody who had to educate myself on August Wilson, it was not taught to me in school. I would say it's extremely important. There was a feeling of like I think Miss Ebony mentioned, like having this outsider feeling, like not really feeling at home in the theater. And I mean, I found my way to the theater through Shakespeare, and I loved it so much, but it wasn't home. And I think having August Wilson gave me that element of ownership, and giving that to, young theater makers. I think from the very beginning, I don't think there's no limit to what they can do. If from the beginning they understand their importance, the importance of their story, the importance of their voice, there's no limit to how they can change the scope of theater moving forward.
Bravo, sister. Malkia, same question.
It's very important. It's vital. It's vital to the continuance of the theater community. When you think of Jeremy O'Harris or I Coulter, or so there's so many writers, Dominique Morceau, Black writers who are having their time, their shine. It's easy to think this is the beginning. These are the people who are writing about how we feel, and they are, but there's so many that come before them, and August Wilson has given us 10 beautiful plays to really sink our teeth into. Lorraine Hansberry, of course, did not, live long enough, and James Baldwin didn't write enough plays in that regard. So it's like he gives us the opportunity to go back, even though he wrote them in the 80s. And it's where our history is, for especially if you're a part of the Great Migration. Me being from Milwaukee, I certainly am from that lineage. And I feel that my children seeing those plays, they love his plays. And I'm talking about my younger daughters. When they were younger, they loved it because they saw themselves in it. They saw their family in it. And we need to continue that. We are evolving as a people, and we are changing, but we can't ever forget where we came from. And August Wilson made that very clear, because he always honored who he was, who he came from, and where he came from. And that's what his plays will represent as we keep learning about them.
That was very well said.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Greta, let's hear from you.
Well, for me, August is our Shakespeare. He is our Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And right. And I mean, I can't tell you how many college students I've talked to over the years who they were never taught August. I mean, it was not a part of the curriculum, which I found to be astounding. I just thought, how can they not, how can they not have that a part of the curriculum, especially when you've got black students that anyway, but hopefully that is all going to change with kind of the paradigm shift that is happening in America right now. But yeah, August, the teaching of August is so important and moving forward, and theaters have, and they're already doing it, but hopefully on a larger scale, that August is always a part of the of somebody's season. And I think his work is so powerful, and his work is so important that theaters see that, and that's why his work is produced all the time, because it's just that freaking good. It's just that freaking important.
Amen. The final word of the evening, Queen Ebony Joanne. Why?
I just want you to know, they don't want to move August Wilson any further at all and ever. So you have your work cut out for you, youngin', because I'm watching them in the elementary and middle school areas trying to eliminate August Wilson all together because of the N-word. I have seen young students come through, and the parents stifle the whole idea of doing August Wilson. They don't want it taught. They don't want it performed. They don't want it to happen. As far as I'm concerned, August Wilson is America's playwright. I don't care what you've heard otherwise. And I'll fight for that as long as I live, because it's the truth.
And I think that is where we will end this tonight, because thank God for the August Wilson monologue competition. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God for all of you tonight. What a, education this has been. What a mighty spirit you've all brought to, and what an honor it is to hear from 4 powerful storytellers in the American theater. And I know that August and Lloyd are sitting together in that front row from heaven. And they're smiling because you spoke their names tonight. So thank you, ladies, for your power, your grace, and most importantly, your open hearts. I will never forget tonight. And Jeme?
Yes, and as one artist of color amongst other artists of colors, what a privilege it is to be in this virtual space with you. So thank you for giving of your spirits and of your hearts.
And Jeme, all of you, all of us, will be appearing in the African quilt in a few moments.
Yes, we
Very
will.
excited to share with the entire. We're going around the nation tonight. We're in almost every city. People are watching this, so this conversation, I know that there's a little Black girl who's dreaming of what you all do, who's standing a little taller because you exist, and that is for the angels and the ancestors. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this will be archived, so anyone can go back to this and watch it.
Amen.
I'm
so as
so
part of
happy.
Yes, right? Feel the joy.
Yeah,
Amen.
I'm so happy about that.
Amen.
And as part of our final celebration of Black History Month and Black artists, both in Milwaukee and nationally, we would like to present Rise. I'll let my co-host Rajendra introduce the piece because he conceived it, wrote, and developed it.
Well, I just want to say that one thing I've learned in my life in the American theater, taught by the fathers and mothers who have shaped me, two of my mothers are on this call right now, Greta and Ebony, is to always honor our ancestors. And when I tell you that what August delivered that faithful day and that faithful speech at the TCG conference changed the trajectory of all of our realities and what we are living through right now. You know, we say that there are men and women that walk among us that are prophetic, that are prophets. And I believe August was that.
Absolutely.
I am so proud to share with the country on the heels of the Black Lives Matter movement, on the heels of this pandemic, and on the wings of this next generation of Black theater makers who stand on the shoulders of Lloyd Richards, August Wilson, Lorraine Hansberry, and every artist of color who has ever tried in the American theater, to present the world premiere of Rise, an African American word quilt. August, we speak your name. We speak your name.
And
Good
condolences.
evening. My name is Rajendra Ramoon Maharaj, and I am the Associate Artistic Producer of Milwaukee Repertory Theater. And I'm also the writer of Rise, an African American word quilt. And on behalf of the entire Milwaukee Repertory Theater, I want to thank you for supporting us this month with our Black History Month programming. This month, we've learned a lot about the past, the present, and the future of African American theater, both here in Milwaukee and nationally. And we are so excited to continue tonight's celebration with this original world premiere piece, inspired by the prolific words of August Wilson's "The Ground on Which I Stand." Rise, an African American word quilt, speaks to the very heart and the very character of what it is to be an African American theater artist and maker in the world today. I hope that it will inspire you all to dream without a ceiling, to run on and see what the end will be, and to know that you have the power to be the change in the American theater and in the world. Thank you, and enjoy Rise.
lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
My brothers and sisters, like a mighty phoenix, our talents, gifts, art, faith, is the spirit that feels the bright light and sings when the dawn is still dark. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My friends, now more than ever, we hold steadfast to our dreams and purpose in our art. The big and small dreams that help us keep our eyes on the prize and hold on to see what the end will be. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Listen, y'all. The mighty phoenix, like the African American artist, like us, must rise up. We must be free to experience our full humanity with no mental shackles on us or bigotry blocking our blessings. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Beloved, true freedom in the American theater lies in expression, our collective expression of our boldness, blackness, beauty, in honor of our dark and light-skinned selves with no shame or fear. We African American theater makers know all important things are hard, but worth the struggle and sacrifice in the end. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My people, the holy ground, the boards on which we stand are sanctified. It has been bought and paid for by our ancestors' tears and sacrifice. We speak their names in our heart each time we stand center stage under the bright beam of the spotlight. As our eyes rise to the beauty of the balcony, a band of beautiful black angels descend. The majesty and the mystery of the heavens unfold before us. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Brothers and sisters, hard work, persistence, determination, faith in God, as well as our shared ancestors, have always been the wind beneath our wings. Like the mighty phoenix, our spirits and wings take fiery flight each time we enter the empty space, burning a mighty blaze across the stages of America. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My friends, our lives are a test. Our art is our test. They are our testimonies. My art is powerful, Black, unapologetic. It is our public and private protest and bears witness to the numerous sacrifices of all those mighty ebony shoulders of our ancestors who came before us, which we have the honor, privilege, great responsibility to stand and remember. The dead are only dead when we have forgotten them. Ancestors, we shall never forget you. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth. Our tears of joy, our tears of sorrow, are the batons passed down from one generation to the next, with great purpose and pride in honor of our birthright, which is to stand on any stage and speak the speech, I pray you, to speak truth to power in a new way on the dawn of this new day. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Beloved, we use our art, Black theater, as an olive branch, our North Star for future generations yet unborn to follow, who must continue to finish the work started by the ancestors we share in common. Many who never made the white history books of the American theater, never had their moment in the spotlight on the great white way, or got their standing ovation in theaters across America. Nameless, faceless artists of color, Black, brown, Black, our ancestors, whose countless sacrifices, talents, dreams realized, dreams deferred, have become the golden key to unlock the shimmering door of opportunity for all of us to walk through. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My people, the urgent task of the moment in the American theater is to embrace theater makers of color in an honest, respectful dialogue that speaks truth to power, that sees us. See us. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My brothers and sisters, we strive for, fight for, demand an inclusive American theater that finally embraces all African American artists for the magnificent, complex, beautiful, resilient, formidable Black theatrical kings and queens that we are, knowing that our ancestors gave the world civilization. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Beloved, we know where there is no struggle, there is no strength, no progress. Time and time again, Black artists have turned our wounds, scars, confusion into our pearls of wisdom, using our art as a balm to heal the world, to inspire us to walk on together, step by step, to see what is beyond the horizon, knowing deep in our souls the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just that little extra. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My friends, learn our stories. Learn them well. See in our art the pride we have for Black music, Black dance, Black theater, for all Black art and artists. Ooh, hallelujah. We raise our heads high wherever we go because we know the stock from which we come, the pride from which we come. Nobody will or can ever take that away from us. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
African American theater has always been concerned about the totality of humanity. Our theater is and has always been a mirror, a sharp reflection of society and the world around us. The greatest Black storytellings and Black storytellers are, at their hearts, visionaries. And this is why we tell our story. This is why we tell our truth.
My friends, African American history is American history. African American theater is American theater. Diversity in the theater is not about how we differ. No. True diversity is about embracing, celebrating, acknowledging one another's uniqueness without fear or prejudice. Our experience is the Black experience, the American experience. The Black American experience is one of the most important threads in the beauty that is the American tapestry. That is why we tell the story. That is why we tell the truth.
My brothers and sisters, this is our time to stand tall. This is our day to speak out. The reckoning is here. This is the hour when all the chickens have come home to roost. African American theater makers, we don't make progress by standing silent on the sidelines of American theater. Hell no. We make true progress by implementing new ideas, speaking truth to power. This is why we have to tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Listen, y'all. Learn from yesterday's mistakes and misery to live for today. Carpe diem. To carry great hope and promise for tomorrow. Black theater, Black history, Black art has taught us all once you choose hope, all things are possible. Black hope, Black magic, Black lives matter. Black theater is a waking dream. It sees the invisible. It feels the intangible. But above all, achieves the impossible. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Beloved, we stand together on the dawn and the promise of this new day in American theater and our nation. Let us be courageous and think brave new thoughts. Find a new strength beyond our own strength that gives us strength. Remain steadfast in the knowledge that strength doesn't come from what you can do. It comes from overcoming the things you thought you could not do. Our strength, Black strength, is like a mighty river that cuts through rock, not because of its power, no, because of its unstoppable persistence. Like the mighty river, like the mighty phoenix, we keep moving, we keep pushing, we keep on keeping on. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
My people, equality and the desire to be free is all we ask for. In this month, filled with the promise of hope and the dream of the slave, we hold our heads high and turn our tear-filled eyes proudly upon the blessed, fragile assurance of the new daybreak, offering the American theater a place and a safe space for the new steps of courage and change. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Despite the unimaginable odds we have faced as citizens, overcoming the horrific legacy of our country's original sin, when the sons and daughters of Jim Crow considered us chattel, we as a people, Black people, African American citizens, are still here and celebrate unapologetically our past, our present, our future. This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
Thank you, ancestors, for your countless talents, gifts, sacrifices you have shared with the world for so long. We stand in the glow and the warmth of the ambers of your embrace and love. We pray each day as artists of African descent to make you proud, to bear witness. We speak your names in all that we think and all that we do in the American theater.
My beloved ancestors, you are the rock on which we can all build an American theater that courageously tells new truths, that creates and tells multicultural stories that have yet to take flight like the mighty phoenix. The past, the present, the future. Those storytellers and theater makers yet unborn meet in the promise and purpose of this moment.
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Can you see us? Can you see us?
See us. See us.
See me. Hear me. Do our stories matter?
We rise.
We rise up.
We rise up together. We rise.
We rise up.
We rise up together.
We rise.
We rise up.
We rise up together.
We rise.
We rise up.
We rise up together.
We rise.
We rise up.
We rise up together.
We rise. We rise up.
We rise up together.
We rise. We rise up. We rise up together.
This is why we tell the story. This is why we tell the truth.
And this African American word quilt, rise, is for colored folks who are moving to the ends of our own rainbows. The struggle continues. The struggle continues. My brothers and sisters, our struggle continues. Ache.
We rise up, we rise up together. How I got over, how I got over. Oh, my soul looks back and wonder how I got over. Oh, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. Oh, yeah. Paul and Silas bound and chained with no peace to forgo the pain. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Door flew open and the wind blew out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
To our audience members across the nation this evening, thank you so much for joining us in our celebration tonight. And we want to say one final thank you to our panelists, Ebony, Greta, Malkia, and Sade, and to 88.9 Radio Milwaukee, Sam's Place, Niche Book Bar, and to all of the artists and leaders who lifted their voices in this month's celebration with us. Thank you so much.
And I just want to say, my heart is so full when I see that, because I think we forget sometimes the greatness that flows in our veins and how we are a mighty people. And so I am so grateful to Milwaukee Repertory Theater, the entire staff, the entire board, for dreaming this dream with myself and my colleagues. I want to give a special shout out to marketing, our marketing department. I want to give a special shout out to Laura and Deanie, who work with me in the artistic program and have dreamt this dream and continue to inspire me each day. And I leave us with this thought that we are in a time of great growth and challenge, which leads us to the opportunity to move closer towards the American dream. Thank you all for walking with us this month. And Jamie, thank you for being with us tonight and adding your light and your intellect and your spirit. And I leave you with the words of Dr. King, who said, "We have flown in the air like the birds, and we have swum in the sea like the fishes. And yet, as Americans, we still have not learned the simple act of walking on the earth as brothers and sisters." My brothers and sisters, the struggle continues. Happy Black History Month. Good night.
Good night.
Ache.